What if I told you that one prayer, spoken beside a well in a distant land, would shape the future of nations? What if a simple act of kindness could reveal a destiny prepared long before anyone realized it? Genesis chapter 24 is not merely a love story. It is a story of divine guidance, a story of faith in uncertain moments, a story that reveals how I quietly direct the paths of those who trust me. And before this chapter ends, a servant's prayer will be answered before he even finishes speaking. A young woman will make a life-changing decision, and Isaac will discover that even after loss, my plans continue to unfold. The years had passed. Abraham was now old and advanced in age. The promises I had given him were unfolding. Isaac, the child of promise, had grown into a man. Yet one important part of the covenant story remained unfinished. Isaac needed a wife, not merely for companionship, not merely for family, but because through Isaac the covenant would continue. Through Isaac would come future generations. Through those generations would come kings, prophets, and ultimately the redemption of the world. Abraham understood the importance of this moment, so he called his most trusted servant, the man who managed everything he owned, and he entrusted him with a sacred mission: travel back to my homeland, find a wife from among my relatives, but do not take a wife for Isaac from the surrounding Canaanite peoples. The servant immediately recognized the challenge. What if the woman refused to come? What if she chose comfort over uncertainty? What if she would not leave her family behind? Abraham's answer revealed the depth of his faith. The God who called me from my father's house will send his angel before you. The mission would not succeed because of human wisdom. It would succeed because I was already preparing the way. Think about that. Long before the servant began his journey, long before Rebecca approached the well, long before any conversation took place, I was already arranging every detail. And the same remains true today. Many people believe they are searching for answers. Often I am already preparing them before they begin the search. The servant departed with 10 camels and valuable gifts. The journey was long, the responsibility immense. The future of Abraham's family rested upon this mission. Eventually, he arrived in Mesopotamia. As evening approached, he stopped beside a well. It was a place where women came to draw water. There, the servant did something that changed everything. He prayed. Notice carefully. Before making a decision, before acting on assumptions, before relying on his own judgment, he sought my guidance. And his prayer was remarkably specific. He asked for a sign. The woman chosen for Isaac would not simply offer him water. She would also voluntarily offer water for his camels. At first, that request may seem ordinary, but consider what it meant. 10 thirsty camels can drink an enormous amount of water. Providing water for all of them would require tremendous effort. The sign would reveal more than kindness. It would reveal generosity, diligence, humility, and a servant's heart. Before he had even finished praying, the answer appeared. Pause for a moment. Before he had even finished speaking, Rebecca arrived. One of the most beautiful demonstrations in Scripture that I hear prayers before they leave the lips. Before the servant completed his request, I had already sent the answer, walking toward him. Rebecca approached, carrying her water pitcher. The servant asked for a drink. Without hesitation, she responded with kindness. "Drink, my lord." Then she did exactly what he had prayed for. Not only did she offer him water, she volunteered to draw water for every camel. Imagine the scene. Again and again she returned to the well. Again and again she carried heavy water. Again and again she served without complaint. The servant watched in amazement. Could this truly be the answer? Could this be the woman chosen for Isaac? When the camels had finished drinking, he began asking questions. Who was she? Where had she come from? The answer revealed something extraordinary. She was the granddaughter of Nahor, Abraham's brother, exactly from the family Abraham had instructed him to find. At that moment, the servant bowed his head and worshipped. Notice the sequence: prayer, guidance, confirmation, worship. He immediately recognized that my hand had been directing every step. Many people celebrate answers. Few pause to worship the one who provided them. The servant knew this success was not his own. It was the result of divine guidance. Soon Rebekah brought him to her family's home. There he met her brother Laban and her father Bethuel. Food was placed before him, yet he refused to eat until he explained his mission. That detail reveals something important. Purpose came before comfort. Obedience came before convenience. The servant understood why he had been sent. Nothing would distract him from completing the assignment. He recounted the entire story: Abraham's blessings, the covenant promise, the prayer at the well, the miraculous answer. The evidence was undeniable. Laban and Bethuel recognized what had happened. This thing proceeds from the Lord. What a powerful statement. When my guidance becomes clear, even those observing from the outside can recognize my hand. The family agreed. Rebekah could become Isaac's wife. The servant worshipped once more. Jewels were presented. Gifts were exchanged. Celebration filled the house. The mission appeared complete. But one final decision remained, and it would come from Rebekah herself. The next morning the servant was eager to return, but the family hesitated. Let her remain a little longer, a few more days, then she can leave. Yet the servant knew the time had come. The family then asked Rebekah directly, "Will you go with this man?" Think about the weight of that question. She had never met Isaac. She had never seen the land of Canaan. She would leave her home, her family, everything familiar, and travel into an unknown future. Many would hesitate. Many would delay. Many would demand certainty. But Rebekah gave one of the most faith-filled responses in Scripture. I will go. 3 simple words, yet those words changed history. Faith often requires movement before complete understanding. Rebekah chose trust over comfort, purpose over familiarity, the known world behind her, the unknown future ahead, and she moved forward. As she departed, her family blessed her. May you become the mother of thousands upon thousands. Little did they realize how significant those words would become, for through her descendants would arise nations, kings, and eventually the fulfillment of promises reaching far beyond their imagination. Meanwhile, Isaac waited in the land. The chapter shifts to one of the most beautiful scenes in Genesis. Isaac was walking in the field during the evening, meditating, reflecting, perhaps praying, perhaps thinking about the future, perhaps still carrying the sorrow of losing Sarah. Then he looked up and saw camels approaching. At the same moment, Rebekah looked up and saw Isaac. 2 lives, 2 journeys, 2 separate stories, now converging into one future. The servant explained everything, every prayer, every answer, every detail of the journey, and Isaac received Rebekah as his wife. Scripture then gives a beautiful statement. He loved her, and he was comforted after his mother's death. What a powerful ending. This chapter began with Abraham's concern for the future. It ends with comfort, love, and fulfilled purpose. Loss had not ended the story. Grief had not stopped my plans. Sarah's death was not the final chapter. A new generation was now stepping forward, and the covenant continued. Genesis chapter 24 teaches a timeless truth. I guide those who seek me. I direct those who trust me. I prepare answers before prayers are finished. I arrange meetings before people know they need them. I open doors no human effort could create. The servant discovered that obedience leads to guidance. Rebecca discovered that courage leads to purpose. Isaac discovered that seasons of sorrow can give way to seasons of joy. And all three discovered that my plans unfold with perfect timing, even when the path seems uncertain, even when the destination is hidden, even when the future remains unseen. The God who guided Abraham's servant still guides his people today. The God who prepared Rebekah's path still prepares the way. And the God who brought Isaac comfort still works all things together according to his purpose. If this story has deepened your understanding of Scripture, subscribe to Primordial Lore and continue exploring the greatest stories ever told. And now, continue to the next chapter, where Abraham's earthly journey comes to an end, his legacy is secured, and the next generation begins to carry the covenant promise forward.